It is Wednesday, July the 16th, 2025, and it's time now for an FSPN Jets news dump. Let's talk about all the things in the news because there was not a lot of Jet news for a long time, and now we got a bunch of it. And people got their opinions, people got a lot to say. Before we get into this, I'll please ask you to subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. We would appreciate it very much. Trying to get up to 1,000 subscribers. Got a long way to go. Would like your help on that. And if you're not into subscribing, how about a like on the video? A thumbs up. Thumbs up. Like the video. Like the video. Like the video. Why not? Doesn't cost you anything. Helps old Frankie. I don't want to help you, old Frankie. All right. Well, then what are you doing here? I don't know. And if you want to subscribe to the membership tiers, we have that too. Now, what's going on? Well, the big stories of the week are Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson getting their big contract extensions. And as I've said, we did some live streams about this earlier in the week. As I've been saying, these are perfect contracts for the Jets. They may not be perfect contracts for other teams. We got to pay a tiny little bit extra because we stink. We're in the ghetto, as I keep saying, of the NFL city. We play in New Jersey, which is not exactly a place people want to come and spend their lives. Let's be honest. Okay? It's not exactly Miami Beach, okay? So we got to pay a little bit, and you know what? We're happy to pay it. These are contracts that are not kicking in for 2 years, where the market will catch up to them, and so they'll feel actually like bargains at that point in time. And we're going to spread out the cap hit by changing the salary to a signing bonus. We'll spread out the cap hit. It won't be a significant cap hit. It'll be appropriate. And these are just perfect contracts. And so the main thing about this, more than the controversy or the thing that opposing fans will say, is you overpaid for these two players. That's not where we should really even be concerning ourselves. Where we need to be thinking about is, what is this organization all about now? What is this new regime, AG and Muji, all about? And what we're seeing is that for the big logical things, they are doing the right thing. Whether it be signing Fields and Sherwood at the beginning of free agency, whether it was taking Membu and Taylor at the beginning of the draft, or now with these two extensions, the big logical things, the way they should be done, they're being done. And that's, for the Jets, we can't take that for granted. Other teams can maybe take it for granted. The Baltimore Ravens could take for granted that EDC is going to do the logical things to make the team, what it is. We can't take that for granted. We haven't had that situation, and part of the reason we haven't had that situation goes back to old Woody Johnson. Now, everybody hates Woody Johnson, I know. And I'm going to do a very dangerous thing and say something positive about Woody Johnson. Because when he does positive things, we should say positive things about him. It's only fair. For the most part, yeah, he's a shithead. We get it. But if we believe that he is always going to ruin the Jets and never, ever allow us to to compete because he's a bottom five owner in the league, then what's the point of being a Jet fan, really? So I try to look for those areas of positivity, and I also happen to believe that it's much better to not have a binary mindset. This is also something I think I'm going to start talking about more because it's very, very important. Many, many people, especially football fans, have a binary mindset. Alan Lazard is terrible. Woody Johnson's an asshole. This and that. And then they can never, that person, whatever feeling you have for them, whether it's positive or negative, they can never do the opposite. Garrett Wilson, if I tried to say something negative about Garrett Wilson, a lot of Jet fans would be in this comment section going, "What are you, crazy?" Because they say Garrett Wilson's awesome, which he is. But he's not exactly perfect, because nobody's perfect. And if somebody believes somebody's bad in their mind, you're not allowed to say anything positive about Woody Johnson or Alan Lazard or Michael Clemens or anybody who's on the negative side. That's the way it goes with most people. But in reality, life is a lot more nuanced than just bad versus good, terrible versus awesome. There's nuance to things. And I think it would benefit us, especially on this channel. All the other channels, you could have all the black and white thinking you want. But on this channel, I would like us to try and see things in a more nuanced way where we actually use our brains given to us by God to think about these things a little bit more deeply than the average bear. Okay? And so that being said, this is indicative, maybe, of a new Woody Johnson. Remember, Woody Johnson said himself that he needs to look at himself in the mirror and make changes because he realized the way he was acting in the Rodgers era was not correct. And that's good. And then we've seen him what? Do a turnover of the front office. Excellent. And in addition to hiring a new coaching staff and Muji and allowing him to hire all those people. But we're hiring player development people, Justice Jones. We're hiring performance people, Eric Corum. Okay, I did videos about all these people. That's all approved and paid for by Woody Johnson. He also offered a buyout to everybody in the company except the business side. Anybody who wanted to leave the Jets, you could say goodbye. And he offered a generous buyout package. You got like, I don't know how many months of salary for sitting on your butt on your couch in your home to turn over the roster of some of these people in the organization. Ticket sellers. We got a lot of people who work for the Jets. You got ticket sellers, data analytics, this and that. And we bulked up the data analytics team also. We made Arjun a permanent employee, and we hired sort of a senior level guy, and we got in a substantial analytics department now. So all of these things, now we're seeing it as it applies to the players. We're doing something different. We never did this before, really. Kind of. I mean, we did Quinnen Williams and Michael Carter. We're really the only two people we could have done this with. But we got Jeremy Sherwood taken care of. And now we got Sauce and Garrett done early. And they were just obvious players who are good players, whether you think they're worth 30 or not. It doesn't matter. You're wrong if you don't think so. But that doesn't really matter. The point is that we got them done early, ahead of time, taking care of our boys, basically. And that's a different way of doing business than we've done in the past. And so maybe this is a new Woody. I mean, let's look at it positively. What's the point of being negative about Woody? All it's going to do is give you an angina or a heart attack or something. When he does something positive, let's say it. Why not? Yeah, we all know in general he's been a net negative. We get it. But maybe this is another sign that Woody has taken things in another direction. And I think that's worth saying. So that's that. Now, what's next? Let's take a look at some of these tweets. Let's go over to the Twitter machine. You want to take a look at something Zach Rosenblatt said, of all people. And Zach Rosenblatt's one of the 3 beat reporters you need to pay attention to. Only ones who break news. So, in other words, nobody else on the beat was saying anything about this, but Zach Rosenblatt has it exactly right. Next item on the agenda, signing rookie tight end Mason, not Jason Taylor, son of Jason Taylor. There's been a holdup, and nephew of Joy Taylor, if you're a fan of hers. There's been a holdup on pretty much every second-round pick, Zach writes, around the league, since many are seeking fully guaranteed deals. Well, they all are seeking, not many. So they're all seeking fully, because, and the reason they're seeking that is because the first 2 who signed got those. So the Browns and the Texans signed their second-round picks to fully guaranteed deals. Now the rest of the 30 want them, of course. Not many, all. But the key point about this sentence is the last part. But I wouldn't expect Taylor's situation to linger too long. Now, he does not say per source, so he's not authorized to speak either from an agent or from the club. So he's just putting it out as his opinion. But his opinion comes from somewhere. He's not just making this up out of his butt. One of the things about Zach Rosenblatt that's actually admirable, there aren't many things about him that are, but one is that he has a collaboration with the Brain Dead people, the Badlands people, and so therefore he's on the Discord over there. He gets feedback from regular fans all the time, and you got to give him credit for that. And the same thing happened with Country Club Connor Hughes after Greenbean and I got through with him. He kind of realized, maybe I should pay attention to these rabble-rousing fans. And somebody like a Dick Chimney by the way, you notice does not ever interact with the regular people, the little people like us, right? But Rosenblatt does, and Country Club does, and so you got to give him credit for that. Um, we try to keep things fair and balanced. Just call balls and strikes. That's what we do here at FSPN. All right, so looks like we're probably going to get Mason, not Jason Taylor, in here soon. If Rosenblatt's reporting is, well, it's not really reporting. Rosenblatt's opinion is to be believed, which I think it is. And we'll see how that happens. We do have training camp next week, so let's get this all wrapped up. Mason, let's go. Now, speaking of good reporting, look at the way Connor Hughes is talking about Sauce Gardner. Now, he's giving his honest opinion with some evidence provided. In Sauce Gardner's down year, he allowed one touchdown and a completion percentage of 53.2 when targeted. Quarterbacks threw his way 47 times. The TD was tied for second fewest, and the completion percentage was fifth lowest among cornerbacks outside and inside to play at least 50% of the team's snaps. You want more PBU, INT? Absolutely. But this notion that he was some massive defensive liability, or even average, as Mr. Goldstein said in my chat this week, is so painfully far from the truth. I just can't wrap my head around the hate this guy gets, both as a person and player, unwarranted. He earned every penny of that contract, absolutely. Deserves to be the league's highest paid. Now, hey, you say what you want about Country Club, but that's not how he was talking about our players a couple of years ago. He was basically ragging on, Mekhi Becton and Denzel Mims, and those guys were not high performers. We understand. At least with us, Mekhi's gotten better now since he was with the Eagles, and he's going over to the Chargers now. But nonetheless, this is fair. I mean, this is factual and fair, and without a negative spin. Now, in contrast to that, you have this asshole, Dick Chimney, the smoke blower. So Jeremy Fowler of ESPN has an article about the top 10 wide receivers. And as we're going to see right here, Garrett Wilson comes in number 10. So you would think, wow, that's fantastic, especially because Wilson does not have the kind of production that you might expect out of somebody named a top 10 wide receiver. He has good production, obviously, but he's not top notch. And still they rank him number 10, so that's a good thing. But Cimini decides, with all of his douchebaggery and douchebagness, and swear to God, somebody needs to he should be denied access to all public transportation. And his auto insurance rates should go sky high because he's such an asshole. But I don't know. That's just one man's opinion. It says one anonymous douchebag with a harsh assessment of Wilson. He's all over the map, does his own thing on the field, vast potential, but he's not close to what he could be, said one guy. Oh, can we find out who the guy is? Can we do some journalism? Can we do some reporting, Dick? Can we please, douchebag Dick, do some fucking reporting, please? No. We just take what Jeremy Fowler found out and highlight it and make the Jet fan worry. Worry, worry, worry. Worry equals clicks. You got to be worried, Jet fans. It's very important to ESPN that you, the Jet fan, is worried. You got to be worried about something. I mean, you can't be happy for 5 fucking minutes with a new contract for Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner, without this douchebag coming along going, well, sometimes he doesn't run his routes perfectly. Oh, whoa. What a fucking douchebag this guy is. I swear to God, he should be totally denied access to public transportation. He tries to get on the subway. They say, get out of here, douchey. But here's the article. Frankie might be losing it. Here's the article from Jeremy Fair or Fowler. We don't know. And he's got the top 10. Jamar Chase, yeah, obvious. Justin Jefferson, yep. Tyreek Hill, yes, sir. CeeDee Lamb, yes, sir. A.J. Brown, yes, sir. Amon-Ra St. Brown, there's 2 Browns in a row. This one's a St. Brown. Yeah. Malik Neighbors, so Giant fans should be happy. They already got a top 7 receiver over here. Malik Neighbors, now they're just worried about his toe. He's got a chronic toe injury, apparently. Nico Collins, yeah. Good old Nico. He didn't explode until Stroud came along, by the way. This is one of the more strange things. He wasn't very good his first couple of years. Then Stroud comes along and he's like amazing. It's crazy. It says here, slow build. Yeah. I remember seeing this guy in fantasy and he'd always be available. You could pick him up, and it's like, Nico Collins, maybe. But then Stroud came along and was like, whoa, what the hell? So Collins, and then old Mike Evans, a million years old. Actually, it says here 31. Seems like he's 41, but 1,000-yard man, always gets 1,000 yards every single season. And then Garrett, highest rank. Somebody had him 6th, and he's 24 years old, and he got honorable mention last year. This is a debut. And one AFC executive said he's one of the best separators in the league. So instead of Chimney highlighting this from an AFC executive, anonymous, put your name on things, buds. This guy had a positive thing to say, but why doesn't Chimney focus on that? Well, that doesn't get you worried, and that doesn't get ESPN clicks. On production, the argument is tougher, obviously. And it says here, one AFC executive noted Wilson is a bit of a freelancer as a route runner. And then it's an AFC scout said all over the map, and this is the thing that Chimney cherry picks from the article. And that's what it is. It's like they don't lie outright usually. They'll just cherry pick a piece of information here, leave out context over there, and now I'm going to be getting, I guarantee it, Sunday show, I'm going to be getting people questioning, Garrett Wilson's route running, and do we want to give $32 million to a guy whose route running isn't pristine? I guarantee you, because now this person's idiocy, Dick Chimney, is going to infect Jet fans' minds. Now, is it true that he could improve his route running? Yeah. Yes, it's true. It's not a lie. But I would like to know who this AFC scout is. How about anonymous scout? Put your name on it, bud. You're going to talk negative about our young men. Why don't you put your name on it, pussy boy? Where is this fucking scout? Where? Let me at him. Why don't these people put their fucking names, if they're going to talk negative about our people, put their names on it. Let us know who you are. Do you work for the Bills? Oh, because that would explain a lot. Do you work for the Patriots? Oh, because that would explain a lot. Do you work for the Dolphins? Oh, because that would explain a lot. Do you work for the Giants? Oh, that would explain a lot. Now, is it completely wrong? No. But I'd still like to know who you are, whether I can take you seriously or not. And I'll tell you this, while his route running isn't perfect, and he does do a bit of this, what they're talking about here, what if he tightens that up? How good is he going to be then? Because AG is probably going to get it out of him. Robert Saleh wasn't going to criticize him. Robert Saleh doesn't criticize anybody. Robert Saleh, you could have, he probably thinks Freedom Amakalaka Dumadin, who we had on our team at one point, who's now a UFL player, he probably thinks he could be a Pro Bowler, But, so he doesn't criticize anyone. But AG's not going to do that. AG's going to be hard on Garrett, and you've already heard Garrett talking about that. Garrett has already said, this coaching staff is already asking me to do things nobody's ever asked me to do before. That's what he said. And he was talking about blocking in that instance. But you think they're not going to get on him about his route running? These anonymous scouts piss me off, even if what they're saying is partially or completely true. I just don't understand this anonymous stuff. An NFL general manager said, what does NFL general manager mean? Here we're saying AFC, NFC, now we're saying NFL. Why do they do that? He has produced in suboptimal circumstances. He would only grow in stature in another system more friendly to his skill set. That's another positive. So there's tons of positives in this article, and the fact that he comes in the top 10, and Chimini just cherry picks the one negative thing. It's so frustrating, man. And, if you called him out on it, he would probably say, well, I didn't lie. Somebody did say that. Source told me. A source told me. A source said so. I just said what the source said. They always have that cover, right? These are the most duplicitous douchebags on earth, man. And that's why it's important for us to stay on top of these people. Remember, we reformed Country Club Connor. He was going down a dark path when we got to him, Green Bean and myself. More Green Bean than me, but I played a minor role. And now look at him. Now he's pretty much straight and narrow. When something bad happens, he tells you. But when something good something good is going on, he tells you that as well. And that's all we want. Just honesty. Just be honest. I mean, I was on Jake Asman's show talking about this at the time. Anybody remembers that? And Jake would ask me, why do you hate Connor Hughes? I said, I don't hate Connor Hughes. I have nothing against him. I gave him a funny nickname based on pictures that he himself posted that were at the country club. That's where I got it. And secondly, all I want is truth. I just don't want people like actively lying about stuff and selectively editing and doing all of the douchebag journalistic things that Dick Chimney does. And on top of all of that, Rich Cimini does not even look happy doing his job. You ever see this guy? He looks like a bag of shit. Why is he even doing the job? I mean, he's been covering the Jets for 30 years. You know, maybe it's time for retirement. You ever think of that? Richard, Dickety Dick. Maybe it's time for retirement, Dickie. You know, because I'm sure we could find somebody else, a younger buck, who maybe could do a better job than you. And maybe, you know, if you're not happy, why are you doing it? I mean, he's clearly not happy doing this job. He's not. He's telling you. Look at the guy when he's on camera. You see him sometimes at these press conferences. He looks like a bag of shit. And then you look at Connor Hughes, and he's like spry and, you know, looks like he works out and in good shape. Hey, hello, everybody. I love talking about this. No. But not Dickie. Hello, welcome to the Jets podcast with Dick Chimney. It sounds like he's miserable. It's time for retirement, Dick. That's all we got from FSBN, the Frankie Sports Programming Network. Fuck ESPN. Go with FSBN. And if you like what we do here, including all the cursing, sorry if that offends you, but I am from Brooklyn, so fuck it. I feel like cursing. I'm going to curse. Okay? Well, why not support the channel by subscribing or clicking the like button or joining the inner circle, the inner square, the inner triangle, one of these inner things. And with that being said, I'll see you next time.
Non-pertinent. How do you log that non-pertinent?
No drug talk?
They use codes to hide their patron phone numbers. And when someone does use a phone, they don't use names. And if someone does use a name, he's reminded not to. All of that is valuable evidence.
Of what?
Conspiracy.
Conspiracy?
We're building something here, Detective. We're building it from scratch. All the pieces matter.